Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a try a chapter video because I haven't done one of these in a while, and I'm actually currently in the middle of filming my Sarah Adams reading vlog. I'm working my way through this one, not making great progress because I'm really having a hard time connecting with it. And I know that's like, oh my gosh, I'm like the only one in the world, but I'm definitely having trouble getting into this one. So I'm going to take a break and do a try a chapter, and I'm starting with my rollovers bag. We've not seen this in a while. I'm literally going to just pull books out of this bag, read the first or the next chapter depending on if it's a book I've started. And the idea is, if it's something that I feel like I want to continue, I will keep it. And if it's something that I think I probably am not going to get to or enjoy, then I can go ahead and plan to unhaul it, which means that it'll go up on my Pango books. And then pretty much I'm doing this system. You guys know I love the Little Free Library videos. Continuing that for sure. Love Little Free Libraries. But I think what I'm going to do is have kind of this system of, when I'm unhauling a book, I will post it on Pango books, which should be listed in the description. And if it's not, it'll be listed on other videos. So I'll post on Pango books. Whatever doesn't sell, I will bring to a local used bookstore that actually offers trade credit, which would be great so that I can get some of the books that are on my TBR without having to like hope that I find them for free or try to get them from the library. I can try to get them from trade credit at the store, and then anything that they don't take will be my Little Free Library books. I hope that makes sense. So Pango books, trade credit, Little Free Library. Anyway, let's get into this. I am going to reach in, pull out a book, and I will read the first chapter or the next chapter, depending on if it's one I've started. Okay, my finger landed on whatever this is. What is that? Oh, Message in a Bottle. I did start this one a while ago because I was filming a Nathan and Nicholas Sparks reading vlog, and I just never really got into this one either. So I'm gonna read the next chapter and see if I'm enjoying it, or if maybe it's not gonna be it for me. I'm not sure. Let's try it out. Okay, just read the next chapter of this. I feel just about the same. It is one that I would like to read, but at the same time, I don't think I can read a book about loss like this right now, or that's dealing with questions of loss. We'll see. Not sure, but putting this off to the side. It's not definitely an unhaul, but it might be. Oh, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. I know that I want to keep this one, but maybe I will read the first section or so just to enjoy it. Okay, so that was good. I definitely am not in the mood to read this right now, but I will reread it at some point. Like I said, I love this book. I read this in college. I tabbed it back then, I guess. Not very good tabs, but I tabbed it nonetheless. And I do plan to reread this. This was a good section about our mindset. Sometimes we will let people or things get on our nerves simply because we're determined to let them get on our nerves. The power of choosing your perspective in different things. So I enjoyed that. Let's choose the next book. That's not a book, that's a bag. Okay. Relentless. Now, I do plan to finish this, but I don't know where I left off. The group had started reading through this, but we did not finish it before I graduated, so I have a lot still to read. I am on chapter 8, so I'm going to read chapter 8, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, that was really good. It took me some time because I'm tired and kind of zoned out. But that was a really good chapter, kind of all talking about how as Christians we are already victorious, but also are called to arm ourselves and with the word of God and like stand and fight in the face of suffering and stuff like that. So good chapter. I'm now on chapter 9, which will be all about grace, which that'll be good. Definitely will keep this book. Let's choose another. Ethics. So this one I primarily keep because I really like the covers of these, and it looks like I made decent progress. I have a very strong suspicion I am not going to be able to focus on this, but I have that much to go till the next chapter, so I'll read that and then get back to you guys. I barely paid attention to that, but I am going to keep it. I think this may end up being one that goes just back in my collection of like school books that I'm keeping from college and law school and whatnot. But yeah, I don't envision myself just sitting down to read through this, but I do want to keep it. And actually, I think I'm going to take my bookmark out and just put it with my school books and put the other ones with my school books. I just don't see myself reading these at any point in the near future, but I still want to keep them because I do like these covers and I like having the set. So I think that's what's going to happen. Next book. Oh, Love the House You're In. I've never started this one. It's 40 Ways to Improve Your Home and Change Your Life. I got this last year for my birthday, and I am interested to start it. I feel like this is something that will be very useful as I am still currently not in my own space, but also hope to be. The goal would be in the next year. So I think I'm either gonna read the intro and stop at chapter 1, or I'm gonna skip the intro and read chapter 1. Not sure, but let's get into this. Okay, this is really interesting, and I actually kind of want to keep it out, not necessarily as a TBR book, but as something that I can reference as I'm really very much in this season of trying to reset, restart, figure out where I'm going, how I'm moving forward, all kinds of things. I think that this could be very beneficial, not just in creating the space that I want to be in, but figuring out where that is, how I want it to be, all that good stuff. So, okay, I felt two at the same time, so I will choose between these two. Okay, actually, I think I am gonna unhaul this Hearts of Fire. I really enjoyed the first story. It was a fantastic story. And I'm not as engaged in the rest of it. Different stories, so it's like, yeah, I could try the others. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and unhaul this. And since that's how I'm feeling, I could get into this one, but I actually used this book in a previous chapter, and I know that I want to read this in the future. It's just not happening right now. So I'm going to put this along with those books that will eventually get read. Let's move on. I think I know exactly which one this one is. Yes, by this standard. This is a tough one because it's like, I know for a fact I am not in the mood to read this right now. But at the same time, I can't 100% say that I would want to get rid of it. So I think I'm going to put this, instead of trying a chapter, I'm just going to put this in the same category as Message in a Bottle and decide later when I'm in more of a mood to make decisions on books that I'm not feeling right now, but might want to read in the future. Next book, No God But One. I know I want to read this. I don't need to try a chapter. I will continue that one what's next? Oh, Tribulation Force, one of my favorite books. Don't need to try a chapter on that one. I will be keeping that. Okay, this was also in a previous try a chapter, and I do know that I want to read this one, so there it goes. What's this? The Wedding. I cannot try a chapter on this one until I read The Notebook, which is right here. So, shall we do it? Shall I start The Notebook? I feel like this is one that I have to read. I can't just not, because literally everybody knows this story in this movie, and I've never seen it and I've never read the book, so let's get into it. One chapter in and I already feel like I'm gonna cry. I love the end of this first chapter. This part. Ugh, love it. Oh, there are two. What's behind this one? Oh, Through the Eyes of a Lion. I should start this. I've never started it. I've never really wanted to start it. I've had it for so long, but I should start it, see if I'm gonna read it or if I'm gonna go ahead and unhaul it. Let's find out. Okay, this is really good. And I feel like I never would have thought that unless I was reading it at this point in my life right now. So it's funny because one of the last try a chapters or unhauls or something, I was so strongly considering getting rid of this and I just felt like I was supposed to keep it. And now I know why, because it is so particularly relevant right now. I believe it's the last book in here, yes. This is Winter Dream, and I had put this in my rollovers bag months ago because it was on my it was a Bookmas book, then it was on my TBR, then it was in my rollovers bag, but I'm actually just gonna put this back with my Christmas books and potentially put it on my Bookmas TBR, and if not, then I'll just get to it eventually, but I am not gonna try a chapter in this because I already know that I want to read it for Bookmas or maybe even next year's blind date with Bookmas. I don't know. Sometime in the future, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it with those books. So the decisions while I was reading, I decided this. These are going back with school books. I still might get rid of this, not sure. This I am going to keep, but I also may post. Even when I was in a great reading stride, if you will, I was having a hard time getting into this, but I'm also like intrigued and I want to know the story and what happens, so I don't know. I'll post it, and if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, maybe eventually I'll get to it. This one is the only one thus far getting unhauled. I'm about ready to go to bed, but I am going to skip over to the next scene and we're going to go through some of my July and August TBR books that I have not gotten to yet. And then we're also going to go through some of my TBR cart and books that haven't made it there yet. So I'm like seriously going through a bunch of these books in this try a chapter. We're going to keep going. So let's get into that. Okay, it's the next day. And the next part of this is I have these 3 books. I'm going to read the first chapter of. I have 2 love-inspired books. The first one is The Cradle Conspiracy. I'm interested in this one. It's kind of like a thriller. This woman is babysitting, but the mom never comes back, and they find out that the mom isn't who she says she was, so interested in that. This one is her new Amish family, which has been on my TBR for a while. And I've not yet gotten to it. I really enjoyed a book by this author at Christmas time, so I'm interested to see if I like this non-Christmassy one. So we'll see about that. And then the last one is a pretty popular book. It is The Atlas 6. Everyone who I don't know, I feel like everyone loves the writing style of this author. I'm concerned though because dark academia is really not my thing, and yet I didn't really realize that before I got this book. It's a really cool cover, like I love the gold and the black. I'm hopeful that I'll like it, but I'm not 100% convinced. I'm also thinking about trying the Kristen Hanna books that I have in this video. To get into these three, I'm going to start with the one I talked about first, The Cradle Conspiracy. I'm going to read the first chapter and then I'll get back to you. Okay, definitely intriguing. I will keep this for future reading. Next is Her New Amish Family. Let's do it. Okay, this was interesting enough. I wasn't like engrossed in it or anything, but I will want to read it. I still might post it on my Pango books though. I'm not sure. Because it's like I'm interested, but I wasn't like... If I had to choose between the two, I would choose this one. Let's just put it that way. So, let's now move on to the Atlas 6. I'm nervous because I bought this on sale at Target from a gift card that I had several months ago. I would hate to have wasted my gift card. But hopefully it's good, and if it's not, then I'll post it on Pango Books, but like, I don't know. We shall see. Please don't hate me. I think I am going to go ahead and post this and plan to unhaul it. If I do at some point get to it, fine. If I don't, fine. If I read it and I like it and I still have it, I'll just take the listing down, but I just... not it. It's just not it. I did also decide I am going to try a chapter of each of those Kristen Hanna books, so let me show you what they are. Firefly Lane. I may have talked about having this on my channel before. This one's very much about friendship, and I'm not sure if that really intrigues me a ton, but I know people like this book. Also, I have The Four Winds, which is just so pretty, and people speak very highly of both of these. So I'm going to try the first chapter, see if it's worth me doing a whole vlog on, or if I'm just not a Kristen Hanna reader, which is fine, but I'm going to try both of these. Okay, I read the first chapter of both. This one's interesting. This one I definitely want to read. So I will plan to do that reading vlog for both of these, so stay tuned for that. And neither of these, I am not going to post either of these right now. Now I may post them after I read them, I don't know, but I'm interested enough to know how these stories turn out. There's that. All right, the next set of books that I have is going through my TBR cart. So we're gonna shift over there for the next part of this. Okay, so I came down here to start this, and I'm looking at these books, and I know a lot of them will actually be rereads when I get to them. These two will go with that other ethics book that I was talking about. This is that collection. I just love the covers. Whether I ever read them or not, I love the covers, so I want to hold on to those, but they don't need to be on my TBR cart. After 3, this was a book from my evangelism class in college, and obviously, like, I read through it, used it for school. I'd like to read through it, I guess. Okay, I did not get through the first chapter, but I do think that I would sit down and read this, and I would put it on TBR, so I'm gonna put this right here. This is a book that's actually hard for me to consider getting rid of because it is from my college jurisprudence class, but the reality of the situation is I've sat down and tried to read this so many times since then, and I've never gotten through it. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this on Pango Books, The Case for Natural Law. It's very interesting, but it's just not what I have the tendency to read, and I think that it would be better off going to someone who would enjoy it. So this is gonna get posted on Pango. These next two books were part of a class, and I actually, even though they're not relevant to me right now, I do eventually want to finish reading them, so I hold on to them. So there's that. The Shack. I have read this. I'm interested in a reread, but I'm all just so interested in getting rid of it. So I think I'm gonna read the first chapters. Yeah, I think I'm gonna read the first chapter, see what I'm thinking, and then I may end up officially getting rid of this, or I may keep it on the TBR. I'm not sure. Okay, so I know the beginning is not really the extent of the story, and it does take a little bit to get into, but this is one of those books that I can pick up at a Little Free Library almost any time I go out to Little Free Libraries. There's usually one of these somewhere, so I think that it would be easy to get my hands on it again if I needed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and unhaul this one. This book I'm in the middle of, so I'll leave that. This one would be a reread. I'm gonna leave that. This one I'm in the middle of. We'll leave that. That one I'm also in the middle of. This would be a reread. Were free gifts when I was a student leader or a leader in the student organization, Students for Life at my law school. I could take my time and read a chapter of each of these. However, I know that at some point I will read all of these, so I don't really see the point in reading the first chapter. I'm just gonna keep them on my TBR. This will be a reread, this will be a reread, this will be a reread, and this will be a reread. I love all four of these dearly, and that is why they're on there, because I want to reread them. This one is rough because my sister gave me this. She loved this book, but I really struggled to get into it. So I think I'm gonna unhaul this one as well. I am finding that with books like this, I'm enjoying listening to them on audiobook much better than reading. So I think if I ever wanted to read this, I would either get it from the library or get an audiobook. So goodbye. My sister said that she loved it, so it's a good book. It just was not it for me. I do want to read these two, so I'm going to leave them alone. I know I want to read this. I loved The Harbinger, so that one will stay. I loved this one. That's a reread. I have not gotten to this one, so I'm going to start the first chapter of Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. This is fantastic. I love it. I literally just sat here and read this for like a half hour, probably more, for that first chapter. So good. Whether you're in a leadership role or not, this is so important to develop. It's so important to learn these skills and this way of thinking, whether you're in a leadership position or not. It's all about the impact that you have on other people. They all have impact on someone every single day. So anyway, I love this. Can't wait to get back into it whenever that time comes. The next book is Perfectly Yourself, Discovering God's Dream for You. Okay, I don't even need to finish the chapter to know that I want to read this, so I'm just going to put it back on my TBR, but dang. The part I was just reading about was talking about how we need to be honest with ourselves and recognize where we do fail, because I personally sometimes a lot of times will struggle with feeling like I'm failing myself or other people or whatever. And while that's not necessarily a healthy place to dwell, it is important to be honest about things that we are failing at or that need to be improved, or maybe be real honest about where we feel like we're failing but we're actually not, like that kind of thing. So definitely gonna get back to this. Down here we have Smart Growth, how to grow your people to grow your company. I think this is obviously another leadership book. We'll see what I think of this. I'm skeptical that it would be as good as this one, but we'll see. You never know. I love this also. It's definitely on par with this from a different perspective and a different writing style. Very much looking forward to getting back into that in the future. Next book is Tara Lipinski's Triumph on Ice, an autobiography. 90s Sandra would be thrilled to read this because this was the first Olympics that I ever watched anything from. So let's see what this is like. Really big font. So that'll be good. It should go quickly. Okay, I had to turn off the lights so my phone could charge. I love this. I can't wait to read this. I'm obsessed with the Olympics, and I cannot wait to read about her whole story because it's amazing. I feel like I've started this before, but I'm not 100% sure if that is true. I know I've heard so many people talk about this, and I know I may be making a mistake here, but I think this is going to be a no from me. Yeah, the writing style is not it, and I don't like it. But if you're interested, it'll be on my Pango books. Next, we have The Testament by John Grisham. This is one that I had heard a professor talk about in law school, never tried it. We'll see if I'm gonna like it. John Grisham is one of those authors that I really try to get into, and then I just end up not. But I'll try it. And if I don't like this, then very likely gonna be the last book I try from him. Okay, this is actually pretty interesting, and I am looking forward to getting into it, at least based off of the first chapter. It may just be that part that's interesting. We'll see, but I'm curious. Next, we have another leadership-ish book. This is The Innovation Killer, how what we know limits what we can imagine and what smart companies are doing about it. So let's see what this first chapter is like. Just me getting so much into thinking about what this was talking about that I put it away before I talked to you about it. Another leadership book I'm really excited about, but also nervous because The Innovation Killer is talking all about how what we learn and get used to and grow in, and all the things that we work on to make things happen and to be successful, how that's great, but it also can be an inhibitor to newness and innovation, and it can keep us from reaching potential that we would never reach if we don't think about things from a different perspective or a new way, or have new people come in and do things differently. So that's going to be really good. The last book that's on this cart before I go over there and bring some other books over is The Picture of Dorian Gray. I'm torn if I want to go ahead and start this or if I need to hold off on it. I'm probably not going to read the introduction just because it looks like it's just talking about Oscar Wilde, but I would read the preface and chapter 1. This is another one I may be making a mistake on, but I'm not really into this. And I feel bad because it is a classic, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to like connect with this because I'm zoning out and it's only chapter 1. So I'm going to put this along with my Pango books. It is what it is. Let me get some of these books that I have. I don't know if you can tell, but under my chair I have more books. Let me go get some. Okay, here are the 4 books that I just brought over. These 2 were actually on a previous TBR, so I'm going to start with them. It's The Wednesday Letters and this book by Lisa Harper, What Every Girl Wants. I'm going to start with The Wednesday Letters and then we'll see if this is one I'm going to keep or get rid of. So sad, but definitely intriguing. Also, I'm gonna have to turn this light back on because the quality is just not good right now. But this back on the TBR cart, even though I think it was part of like my April TBR or something and I didn't get to it, I'm just putting it back down there. Next up is this one, but first I'm gonna turn on this light. Okay, first one was very introductory, but I am looking forward to continuing on with this. I need to put this back where I think I got it around this time. No, right here. That goes right there. Let's move on to The Winter Palace. This is supposed to be like a Catherine the Great retelling situation. The first chapter. I don't know if I'm just getting tired, but this seems like a book that I want to read, but am not really engaged. Like, I don't really know what the point of this book is, and I think it's going to be very character focused instead of plot focused. So I think it's safe to go ahead and unhaul. We have here The Thursday Murder Club. Now, this is a mystery book. We know how I feel about mysteries. Chances of me enjoying this are low, but I am going to try the first chapter, see what I think, and I may continue reading it and I may unhaul it. We shall see. Let's get into it. This was interesting enough. Definitely seems more like just a mystery rather than a cozy mystery, and I'm finding that I'm not really into like the cozy vibe because those tend to be very just like chill, low stakes, and I like to be a little bit nervous with a mystery or a thriller, and so I'm gonna continue reading this. I'm putting it on the TBR. Looks like I just need a few more books to add to this, so let me go get the next stack of books. Okay, the next book is The Kitchen House. This is either gonna be really engaging and interesting, or I'm not gonna like it, and it's perfect to start for a try a chapter instead of putting it on a TBR first. So let me try this chapter. Okay, this is interesting enough that I'll keep it on here. Okay, I have room for probably this next book if I choose to keep it. It is A Flicker in the Dark. Now, I've heard people say that this is scary, and I also have read books that people said were scary that didn't scare me. So I am gonna try this and see what I think. The first chapter. Okay, not scary or super intriguing so far. I'm gonna keep this on here and I'll get back to it at some point. That's everything for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said earlier, I'm in the middle of a Sarah Adams reading vlog, so potentially that will be the next one to go up. It might be a different video. I'm not sure yet. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Check out the links in the description for my Pango books and Patreon. And I will talk to you all next time. Bye!